Welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stand Course podcast. Today I have Gary Roberts, who is a 20-year Fort Lauderdale firefighter and founder of an AI-powered mental health platform created after the loss of his daughter to an opioid overdose. He is leading a new approach to brain health, addiction recovery, and suicide prevention by combining biometrics, voice-driven AI, and evidence-based therapies to help first responders and high performers get support before crisis hits. Welcome, Gary, to the Stay on Course podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Julie. I'm glad to be here.
Super excited to have you here today. And, before I get started, I ask all of my guests, what is your favorite food?
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
Which is weird for a fitness guy that works out all the time, but cheesecake is my go-to.
Oh, nice. Well, do you put something on it?
No, just strawberry cheesecake. That's it.
Okay. All right. I like cheesecake. I like cheesecake because I feel like there's really no gluten in it.
Yeah, you know what? It's my only. I'm not a dessert eater, but if I had to eat dessert, I'm going. If there's cheesecake in a restaurant, I'm going for the cheesecake.
I love that. Well, today we are going to be talking about 3 ingredients for success for building unbreakable resilience. And Gary, you have quite a story. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about your path and how we got to here?
Oof. I don't know if you have enough time on your podcast for that, but I'll try to break it down the best I can. My whole life since I was young was actually a fitness individual. But what ended up happening, I was one of those really tough individuals that would do anything at least once. So I've broken almost every bone in my body once and had to rebuild myself.
Oh my God.
So I've, both knees, elbows, arms. I was in a body cast once, whatever I had to do, I did it, but at a cost, of course.
But how did you break all of your, wait, can you just tell me how that happened? Like, what did you do?
All sports, skiing, soccer, thrill seeking, things like that. It's just one of those things that I love doing. I guess that's why I picked a career of firefighting, because I love the rush, the high of doing dangerous things. But, that's how I slowly started building my life on, the downfalls of what happens and how to rebuild and start over. And so it gave me that consistent lifestyle of whenever you're kicked down, you can always get up. There's never a reason why. There's always an idea of how, and you got to find that how.
Woo! That's tough. All right. I'm already feeling the toughness here. Keep going. I want to hear more.
From that point on, I ended up being more or less, I was originally from Canada, and I came down to the United States. I came down to Florida. I had a job down here in Florida for the friend. And what ended up happening, he stranded me down here. He basically abandoned me. I was down here, had nothing. So I started my career in the United States as eating one roast beef for a whole week, splitting it up so I could eat it at 3 different meals. And I learned how to build myself up from there, becoming a personal trainer, demolition, learning how to read blueprints. Everything I did, it was always at a cost, but I always found a way to actually learn to get me ahead. And that slowly led me to, I owned a couple of fitness studios. I helped large global gyms open up around the state of Florida. And that's where I met my wife. I met my wife inside one of those gyms. So it's one of those old, personal trainer meets client kind of thing. And the romance continued.
I've heard these stories before.
But this one lasted. We've been married for 24 years. So it's one of those things. She had 2 kids, so I basically, they became my step kids, and I promised her I'd take care of her. And we were doing good, and unfortunately, my youngest daughter came up to us and said she has a problem. She was in a car accident, and she got addicted to opiates. She was honest about it.
Oh.
She told us, I got a problem, I need help. How do we do this? And she went in and out of rehabs, and rehabs did nothing for her. It became more of a social event rehabs, basically. Most of the people who are addicted, they feel comfortable with people I hate to use the word of their kind, but people in their same area, their group. It's the same thing as success people. Put yourself with successful people, you'll be successful. If you put yourself with addiction people, you're going to feel comfortable there and you always want to go back there. So every time she went out, she didn't feel like she belonged and somehow fell off and then went back in. And she told us this. This is what she told us. And she goes, I want to find a way to actually fix that. And that's where we came up with a plan with her and my wife, and that's where we came up with the name Promises, because my wife and her used to always do a little pinky promise, and for our logo, you would see one of the pinky promises is the logo of our center of excellence we were trying to actually design. And before this whole idea could come into fruition, my daughter passed away on her 27th birthday.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Wow, that's tough.
Yeah. And the worst part about it is I think I was in 15 years in the fire service when that happened, and I was dealing with overdoses every day, and I would bring people back from the dead, literally dead, blue, not breathing, all the time from overdoses.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I actually got the call when I was on duty. And I said,
Mm.
it can't be. I bring them back all the time. There's no way that, she should be on life support. She should just be, be recovering. It's not going to happen. And unfortunately, she ended up being on life support. And my wife couldn't understand what's going on because physicians have to tell you, they can't say, oh, your daughter's dead. They have to tell you what they see. And they're basically kept saying, well, there's a little bit of blood going to the brain. And it's okay. Well, so she's going to make it. My wife keeps going. I said, that's not what they're saying. They won't call her as long as there's something going to the brain. That's how medicine works. So we had to make the decision to actually take her off life support, and we did that on her 27th birthday.
Mm. Wow. And so being a firefighter, losing a child, coming back from all of these injuries, you've learned some pretty powerful lessons about building resilience.
Yes, I did. It teaches you. Life has a way of teaching you things that you're not ready for, but it does give you a good avenue to rebuild yourself. I keep using the word rebuild, and that's part of it. So
Picking
yes,
yourself back up again.
yeah, like the old
Yeah.
Rocky movie when it's not how hard you get, punched down or thrown down. It's how many times you get back up and keep going.
Yeah. My dad used to say 7 times down, 8 times up. And the Stay on Course podcast is actually a legacy piece for my father. My father passed away when it was 10 years ago, and I started this podcast to carry his legacy forward. And so he always used to say, Julie, if the world falls down on your shoulders, brush it off and keep going your way. Stay on course, stay on course. And that's why I named the podcast Stay on Course. I have a book that I wrote about my father after he passed away. And so the lessons of legacy and those family connections that build us are really, what carries the next legacy forward. So as we have our passed on family members, we carry their legacy through the work that we do. So I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And I want to dig in. I want to dig into resilience, okay? Because people right now are listening and, life is hard. A lot of people here that listen are entrepreneurs, and we want to just give them some ingredients for success, for building that unbreakable resilience. So, where would you like to start our conversation today?
One of the biggest things is consistency. It works for both physical and mental and in your everyday life. It's January. Everybody's going to do the old, let's go to the gym, do the diet thing. And what's going to happen? The end of January, February, it's all over because there's
Yeah.
no consistency. There's no plan. There's no consistency. Whether you want to or don't want to, you have to decide to do something. And if you could plan your day saying, hey, listen, I want to move the needle forward just a little bit. So I have to do one thing every day to move that needle forward. It doesn't matter what it is. It could only be one. And then you slowly build from 1 to 2 to 5. Don't say I'm going to do 20 things or I'm going to spend half a day doing it. It doesn't work. It's the same thing at fitness. Don't go to the gym every day, 4 hours a day, because you're never going to last. Just
Yeah.
go do something and then see that needle move forward. It's kind of like stairs. You don't try to jump from the bottom to the top. You take one stair at a time.
Yeah.
Well, do one stair at a time. Do that one thing, write it down, and then check it off. And then the next day, when you look at that piece of paper, you'll see it written down. You see that check. And then by the end of the week, you have 7 checks. By the end of 2 weeks, you got 14 checks. The next thing you know, things start to happen with those consistencies. If you're consistent, it will always come out good for you. When I started my podcast, Good Dudes Grow, I says, you know what? We're going to talk. Let's talk about Cannabis. Who can we get in the world that talks about cannabis that everybody knows about? Well, we got Cheech and Chong, right? So, well, I'll never get Tommy Chong on my show, no matter what. I was consistent in reaching out. I got Tommy Chong on my show. Those consistencies of taking that time of finding a way of doing it and keep going is what's going to be really good in the long run.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things I'm trying to be consistent with is walking every day. I'm trying to walk every day. And I don't walk every day because I don't always love to do it. I don't always love to like get out. I do like it when I get out there finally, but like it's sometimes I just get that, I don't really want to go. So what do you do when there's something that you know you should be doing consistently, like that one thing that is really exercise? Because I'm not, I know there are people that like love to exercise. I'm just not one of them. Like it's not my favorite thing to do. So how do you do something consistently that you don't love? Like what do you tell yourself?
How do you feel after you're finished?
I feel good. I feel good. I feel good that I did it. And most of the time my body feels better.
Try to think that way. Try to think how you felt.
Yeah.
You don't listen. I work out all the time. I worked out this morning. I had a terrible 24-hour shift at the fire department. Completely, got it was just terrible. Just to be honest, it was long nights, hard work. It just went bad. It was terrible. My biometric meter says go to sleep instead of doing something. I didn't want to work out. I went down. I did 15 minutes. Felt awesome afterwards. Understand that whether you like it or not, you're going to like the end result. So think of the end result first, not what you're doing to get there.
Yeah. That's
If
a
you
good
have
point.
if you got a project, think about how much closer you'll get to completing that project if you just do one thing.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny because I can sit there and do like work that I don't want to do, but when it and I'll do it. But when it comes to the body, that's a whole different topic, maybe for another day. But
It's
I
the
like,
pain though in the body. That's remember that. And business has the same thing. It's the painful parts. Do I have to get on that cold call and be rejected 10 times? Do I have
yeah,
to get, those painful parts is why people stop. Don't think about those. Think about the successful times and how you felt and go for those. Those are your goals.
go for those. I love that. Okay, good. What's the next ingredient?
Everything you do is an education. Good, bad, you're always learning. We talked earlier is one of the biggest things I was doing when we started when we thought about taking our center of excellence, we thought about these ideas and we said, well, we need all these partners. How are we going to get them? I said, well, just call them. What do you mean you just call them? I said, well, just call them. But you know nothing about them. I said, well, when we talk to them, we'll figure it out when we talk to them. And so we learned how to reach out to different types of individuals. And when we were building our facility, we were looking at building our facility in Costa Rica. So now we had a language barrier.
Mm,
How are we going to do it? Well, we started learning little bits of, Spanish. So we can actually talk a little bit, at least a little bit, and try so to make the people feel comfortable. From that, we built collaborations with research facilities, doctors, physicians. They all loved what we were doing. They all loved the idea. Always learn who you're going to talk to. Try to make yourself not at their level, because I'm definitely not the level of a doctor, but try to make yourself, seem similar to them and listen more to what they have to say. And when you listen to what they have to say, you start learning more about them. And when you start learning more about them or about things, you can have an awesome conversation. So take everything as a learning and education, even the failures, especially the failures,
yeah.
because those are what's going to teach you the most. They're not mistakes.
Yes.
It's a curve you have to overcome to be successful. And if you think about mistakes, now we're going back to the fitness part where you feel that pain, you won't want to do those. And if you don't do those, at sometimes you're never going to get to where you actually really want to go.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this is really about working through the suffering and the stuff you don't want to do. A lot of Brazilians, that's what I'm getting from this whole conversation so far. It's like do the stuff you don't want to do, learn from the stuff you do wrong, and keep trying and doing it until you find the success you're wanting to find.
100%. And that's the only way you're going to keep going up the stairs. If you just look at the stairs and don't want to lift a leg, then there's still going to be stairs in front of you. You just
Yeah.
got to make that decision to do it.
Yeah. I mean, so many people out there are just paralyzed. And I believe that the biggest problem that people have is this, obviously the story that you tell yourself about the situation, the story you tell yourself about who you are dictates everything that you do. And so we need to come up with better stories. And part of that story is do the stuff you don't want to do and suffer. My father used to say to me, it's so weird that he said this, but I guess it's true. It's true. He said, if you can't work through the pain and the hardness of some of these things that we don't want to do, you're never going to be successful.
Exactly. 100%. But now what you're saying, think about what you're saying now. You've just entered the realm of mental health because it's all in people's mind. I'm not worth it. My project's not worthy of it. I can't win. I don't. And all that builds up. And this is where, a lot of people start building up all this mental issues and they don't understand that it's not everybody has a different mental issue. We'll be honest. We all have different mental issues. And that's the problem with the mental health industry right now is that they try to stamp everybody the same. We're all not the same. Mental health isn't a signs and symptom like any other disease out there. It's
Yeah.
somebody's different. So we need to figure out, like you said, how to help people with those aspects of understanding how to get through the hardships of whatever they're going through, whether it's business, whether it's professional sports, or whether it is being a first responder or veteran.
Yeah. I mean, and the first responders are the ones I think that have to have the most mental toughness because they're around the next corner. You're dealing with something that can be, I mean, I can't even imagine actually, because my husband's brother is a police officer, and he's told me some crazy stories of things that he had to just walk into, and really, I don't think I can handle it. So I can imagine that the mental toughness for the first responders. Do they take classes on that?
No, it's just basically you have the old salty guy saying, just suck it up. It's the job
Oh,
kind of thing.
really?
So you have these 19-year-olds getting out of high school trying to figure out, which they're not fully, the brain's not fully developed at 19. They're still trying to figure things out, how to live their own life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they got how to figure out how to save somebody's life and deal with, you know, seven other people and, seven other personalities in the same house for 24 hours. You got that. And then above being, the lowest totem pole and having to do everything. It's a stressful aspect for anybody that does it. Even 20 years right now, it's still stressful what we do. Like I said, I went on a call yesterday. I'm on a hazmat special operations team, and we had to dig a hole to actually fix a natural gas leak in the middle of the night. Well, while we were digging, we found these wires, and we found out later after we were digging that the wires were actually FPL electrical wires that could have had 7,000 volts. And if we shoved the shovel down into it, we would have been dead immediately.
Oh my God.
So these are the little things that we live with, and that's just one call on every aspect of it.
Yeah.
So the mental toughness aspect of that is we it works with physically and mentally. That's the biggest thing. Lack of sleep, lack of food, nutrition, exercise, then add the consistently being alert 24/7. I
Mm,
mean, we're waiting for the next rush.
the
I hate to
next
use that word.
crisis.
But yeah, everybody uses crisis, but us it's a rush because there's nothing we have not seen. Let's be honest. Absolutely nothing we have not seen. So if we don't take that rush to the next level,
Yeah.
then we're still on edge. We're looking for it. We're looking for it. And we're the type of people, and I tell my wife this, and this is what a lot of people need for marital status because divorce rates are through the roof for first responders. We're a negative crisis individual. In other words, we think of stuff negatively. Why? Because we have to think of if I can't do this, it's going to go downhill and I need to do that. So I need to think about everything that's going to go downhill so I can fix in case it goes bad.
Mm, yeah.
So now we bring that home to our family crisis and the dishwasher doesn't work. Well, we're going to think bad, like, oh, now I got to pay some dude to come in and fix it or something else. And this explode and then family life just goes down the tubes.
That's insane because my husband, whenever I tell him something, I'm like, hey, he's like, what's the problem? I'm like, there's no problem. What do you mean a problem? Like, we just need to figure this out. This is not a problem. I don't see anything as a problem because that's just like
We're
Not my.
completely different. We see problems and how are we going to fix the problem so we don't have to deal with it again?
Is that a man thing or is it a first responder thing?
It's a first responder trait because that's all we deal with. We deal with everybody's problems. And then we're the people,
Oh,
we're like the 911 system. I don't know how it is anywhere else, but in Florida, 911 system is basically the 411 of society. If you can't change a light bulb, call 911. It's
yeah.
trust me, we've been on these calls that people don't know how to turn their oven stove lights off or stuff like this. It's like, that's not our job. That's, if you're having a medical emergency, I'm not going to give CPR to your stove. So it's not, why are you calling me? Just, call the repairman. He'll figure it out.
Wow. So this last ingredient, what we've been talking about is mental toughness. And I think it's just an interesting topic because the framing it out as a problem is an interesting thing. So when you're at home, did you ever stop to think maybe this isn't a problem, but like an opportunity that needs to be addressed?
I try, but I am also aware that I have, a slight side of my own PTSD, which is explosive angerness and stuff like this. So I do like your husband does. Well, what's the problem now? It's like, so that is unfortunately from everybody that I've talked to, research doctors and even firefighters and police officers, little small little explosive things have always been critical. Like is a small sign of certain types of PTSD and
Wow.
anxiety in first responders. So
Ah, interesting.
it's
Yeah.
tough to do that. But I learned a lot about the mental toughness through fitness. Let's you can correlate both together because if I tell you to do 100 pull-ups, you're going to look at me. I'm going to go, you're absolutely crazy. I can't do
Yeah.
100 pull-ups, but if you could do one, you could do 100, right?
Right, right.
Doesn't mean you
You,
have to do them all at once. You can still do one and then do another one. You'll get to 100. It may take you a week or two, but you'll do 100 pull-ups.
yeah. I think like one of the things that I talk about all the time is this position of readiness, that we're always in a position of being ready, you know? And so as you're being ready for something and you have you're over here and I'm over here, like in our daily activities, right? I'm not dealing with these major crises on the regular. So for me, my ability to be ready for things that I see as, you would see them as problems. I see them as things that we need to address. By me looking at something that is a problem that just needs, or like something that needs to be figured out, I don't react to that. Like there's no reaction I'm giving to that moment because I can go in and I can really hunker in and be like, okay, let's figure this out. Like this, and this. This is how we get out of this situation. And I can be cool, calm, and collected. The minute I make it a problem, I'm getting upset and and then like everything else is happening. So my ninja skills and this mental toughness thing is for me to just like hunker down in the uncomfortableness of this thing that needs to be figured out. We figure it out and we move on. So that's my perception of like mental toughness.
Yeah, we're like you said, we're way over here on the other spectrum to where if it's not exciting, it's a problem to us. It's like we don't want to deal with it, right? And now imagine on a higher spectrum, for you to be all the way over on my spectrum, it would be some sort of, let's say somebody cut their finger with a knife and there's blood spraying everywhere. Us, that's still not a problem. That is why you're getting excited. The finger is not amputated. Just hold it with blood. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Our readiness is fight or flight. Basically, there is a car wrapped around a tree. There is a burning building with a kid in it. That is our
Yeah.
go-to type style thing.
Yeah.
But to be able to do that type style thing, we need to actually slowly understand our own selves about how we deal with stress and everything else. And that's the biggest mental toughness that a lot of people are not learning in the fire department. They don't understand that comes with sleep, that comes with training, that comes with obstacles. We need to learn how to get around those obstacles to begin with. If we can't get around an obstacle, we will never be able to do our job because everything in our job is an obstacle.
Right.
The big things are
Woo.
huge.
Huge, right? And I know that feeling. I know I've had that feeling, that fight or flight, but you guys are experiencing that every time that call comes in. unless it's a small knife wound. But so like, how do you manage that inside of your body? Do they give you techniques or tools, or are you just learning that as you go?
We have to learn it as we go, and that's what I'm trying to teach other firefighters with what we're doing with the mobile app aspect of it. We're trying to teach them that our physical and mental works together. We need to understand what our bodies are really telling us. We need to understand that we are in that flight or fight, not only on shift, but it lasts 24 hours after. So the
Wow.
next day we are still in those aspects. So we need to find a way to actually relax that, whether it's breathing techniques, whether it's talking to somebody, whether it's going to the gym. We need to find a way to decompress and lower those flight or flight so that when we do go home or before we go home, there's some breathing techniques you can do in your parking, in your driveway before you enter the house so that when you go, the thing, can we just decide to fix this kind of thing, is not a problem. It's just, hey, I need help. And then slowly understand and explain that to our spouses that don't come at us with, oh my God, the dog didn't do this kind of thing, because then that'll just shoot our fight or flight through the roof. To say, hey, listen, can you help me out with the dog? Ask for
Yeah.
help. Don't come out and say there's a problem, because once you say there's a problem, our fight or flight goes all the way up right away to red line.
Yeah.
And that's when most of the stuff ends up happening. So we
Wow.
slowly learn how to do that through breathing techniques, fitness. I learned it through fitness. I learned it through how to deal with, okay, I do a lot of CrossFit stuff. The barbell's there, move it. If it doesn't move, figure out how to move it. And if you can move it once, you can move it 16 times. That's the intimate, and that is the object that needs to be taken care of. And if you can slowly understand teaching your mind and body how to do that, then the obstacles just become an awareness of what your body's actually going through.
Wow. Amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the audience can contact you or learn about more about what you're doing with the app?
Yeah, you can go on our website, neurovus.com. It's neurovus.com. That's exactly what we're doing with the mobile app. You can follow me on Instagram at grobertspir. That is my Instagram page. Or you can just email me at garyroberts@neurovus.com. And I'm more than happy to talk with anybody and tell them what we're doing, how we're doing it, and if they want to help out or see how they can maybe have a friend who's interested in, seeing what it could do for them, we'll be more than happy to talk to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Gary, any final thoughts for today?
Yeah, just if for the success of every entrepreneur in there, because they're going through mental health issues as well, just don't give up. Be consistent, always learn, and slowly you will build that mental toughness to where the resilience becomes a part of you and not a obstacle of what you have to go through.
I love it. I love it. Gary, thank you so much for being a guest on the Stay on Course podcast.
Thank you for having me.